and the investigation or lack thereof. And I'm very pleased tonight to have Jossy back for part 2 of our discussion regarding the Holloway disappearance and investigation. Jossy, how are you this evening, and thanks for coming back on the show.
Pretty good, thank you. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And, you know, is it a happy Father's Day for Dave Holloway? Well, I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
You know, it's sad, but this is something that's, and I took some calls before the start of the show, Jossy, to try and get in as many questions as I could from listeners that I could ask you. Is this something that you think, in your heart of hearts, will ever be solved?
You know, from the information that we have, both from the prosecution and the investigative team, yes, I think they did work very hard on it. They haven't worked on it for about a week because of the political turmoil that are taking place in Aruba.
Right.
But they have been working on the case. And whenever I speak to the prosecutor, Karen Jansen, she seems to be very positive in the sense of taking the case to court and winning it.
Well, that's fantastic news, because I'm sure that is a huge step as far as closure goes. The ultimate closure is to find Natalie, but a huge step towards closure is to actually take this to trial. Something that we touched on last week, Jossy, and I hope you've had a chance to check into it a little bit and get us an answer, is this bizarre rock painting scenario that has gone on in Aruba. What can you tell us about the rock painting? And as far as the people in the pictures, who might those people be?
You know, the rock paintings, I did get some information from the reporters at the Diario, whom I instructed to go out and try to find some answers for us. Apparently this incident happened in June of last year. I think the video was taken on the 10th of June. I'm not sure about the date, 10th, 11th. But apparently it's the body of a boy, 7 years old, that was buried there close to a year before the Natalie Holloway disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been able to identify him. They believe, according to the sources that we consulted, that it belongs to a Colombian boy whose parents are illegal, didn't want to come forward or didn't have any money to pay the burial expenses. And that is the explanation we got. As far as the people in the video, yes, our reporters have identified a couple of them. They belong to the visibility team. They could also tell that there was one person at least that belongs to the technical department of the police.
And who might those people be, Jossy?
Who might they be? I don't know their names.
Okay.
But I know they were active with the visibility team, which is the team that was supposed to take care, or is supposed to take care, of the security of tourists at the hotels and on the beaches.
Okay. Any explanation as to why the rock painting? Like, what was that all about?
I think that was just to mark the spot exactly. We were also told that there was a part of the body missing and that they would come back to further search for it. But there are two things that bother us. One, very near to that rock painting, Art Wood found the belt that was extremely similar to a belt that Joran used in a photo around the neck of a friend, jokingly.
Okay.
And very close to that rock, practically on it, I think that Dave Holloway with a friend, when the big search party was going to take place on the same day by the public workers that were given off half a day, he was there and they saw a police car with the trunk open,
right,
as if they were putting something in it. Now, these two facts, because they are facts, bother me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and it just adds to the bizarreness of this whole case. And one of the questions that has come up, and I've seen photographs of it. You mentioned the belt. You mentioned Dave Holloway. There's back on July 15th, 2005. I've seen pictures that a park ranger had picked up fabric. And it sure looks to me, from looking at the pictures, like similar material to a top that Natalie was wearing. An explanation came back from the powers to be, I guess, in Aruba, that it was a fishnet, but if you look at the pictures, it sure has that green color and that same texture as to what Natalie was wearing. Any comments on that, Jossy?
You know, the only thing I can say is that it does look very similar to what Natalie was wearing that early morning that she disappeared. But in order to be able to confirm it, we would have to go and search for the fabric itself, which has disappeared since, because every single piece of evidence, or what appears to be evidence that has been given over to the authorities, has disappeared, or we have never heard from them again.
Yeah, and that segues into my next question. Was there ever any forensic work done on any of this evidence, and now you're saying that it has disappeared? What do you mean by that?
By that I mean that once it was given over to the authorities, or once the authorities had it in their possession, it must have been sent off to somewhere, Holland probably, because that's where they send most of the things to, because Aruba doesn't have the capability or the technical knowledge or know-how to do the test themselves, to be tested over that. Mm-hmm. But just like those bags full of material that they took from Joran's apartment that was also sent to Holland, we haven't heard anything more about them.
All right, if you're just tuning in, Jossy Mansour from Dario is here tonight to continue our conversation regarding the Holloway investigation. It's over a year later. And I thank Jossy for spending some time again with us tonight. Something that we haven't heard from or heard about in a while, Jossy, is the civil suit launched by Paulus van der Sloot against the Aruban government, I guess. What's the update on that?
Well, the update is that it has been postponed for a ruling. The judge is going to give a ruling on it. But on the date that it was supposed to happen, that was postponed for a later day. I think that's sometime in July, if I'm not mistaken. But the judgment will be given at any one point between now and July.
A question that comes from email here, Jossy, from I'm just kind of getting overwhelmed here with email, but I guess the basis of the question is, and it's a good one, it says, why, as far as I know, we know, have no charges been brought against any casino or bar that allows Joran to drink or gamble? No matter what day it has been documented that it occurred on, are there any charges that could be brought against Paulus for knowingly allowing Joran to participate in these activities? And why has Joran not been held accountable for these illegal activities? And I guess the emailer is asking about the part of him being a minor in drinking, gambling, etc. How big of a problem is that in Aruba, and has there been any consideration as far as charges?
It hasn't, but there should be, because here we have a 17-year-old boy going to the casino, gambling away night after night sometimes, at least over the weekends for sure, and in many occasions accompanied by his father, who holds the position of a substitute judge and a teacher of criminal law at the university. So it is against the law. The law says that no minors below 18 can enter a casino, and still he did. He has been identified sufficiently. The father has been identified with him by witnesses and by videotapes, and still no one, and that should be the part of the prosecution of the authorities, no one has taken the trouble to give him at least a written reprimand or some kind of fine, which he deserves.
If you're just tuning in tonight, Jossy Mansour from Dario is here, and we're continuing our conversation regarding the Holloway investigation a year later. Another question, Jossy, says, when are we going to hear the report from the prosecutor assigned from Kiriko to investigate the investigation? I thought they said it would be finished in 3 to 6 months. It's now been longer than that.
Yeah, we are all asking the same question, because it's about time for the prosecution to present the case in court. I mean, there is a report. Many investigations have been made. I mean, we've seen changes in the chief investigators and the men leading the investigations. We've seen tons of documentation of all the interrogations that took place with the 3 suspects, many of which hold very, very important information for the police to act on, or the prosecution to act on. But still it's been dragging along. I don't know what the prosecution is waiting for.
As far as the statute of limitations, and I'm not sure if that's the correct term, but as far as a time limit goes, when is the time limit as far as the, or what is the time limit as far as the